Did you know Emperor Grum and Mentor G are played by the same actor? Now you do. And you'll never unsee it. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to Morphin March. S.P.D has a lot of characters, and the show makes sure to give the time and attention to give almost all of them the screen time they deserve. But even with this care and attention, not all characters are created equal. So, for this episode, I'm going to cover every character that I consider to be a main character, and talk about their personality and development in order from least to most favorite.
My dolls!
Okay, so at the bottom of the list is Mora/Morgana. As I mentioned in previous videos, her primary role in the show, when she's not drawing as Mora or fighting as Morgana, is to break the tension of Grum's moments with childish antics. Like having a tea party inside of Omni while Grum monologues to himself about something. She's extremely annoying and whiny, as is expected of a literal child. But on the villain side of things, it just doesn't land right.
Welcome to the future. Now, you will help me destroy the planet.
Right above Mora is Broodwing. Not to undercut his threat level, being an arms dealer certainly gives him some credibility, but the fact of the matter is that Broodwing is the most one-note character in this story. Even Grum, right away in the show, points out that Broodwing's only loyalty is to the highest bidder. So naturally, when Grum demands that he receive a giant robot for free and the Rangers blow it up, Broodwing swears vengeance on both the Rangers and Grum. And this betrayal is all that keeps him above the bottom.
S.P.D! Get out here! See!
Yikes!
S.P.D! It's cool.
Going from a one-note character to a one-bit character, next up is Piggy! Piggy is disgusting. He knows it, he owns it, he loves it. Everything about him is disgusting, and he'd have it no other way. He works as a double agent for Grum, a triple agent for Broodwing, and a source of underground intel for the S.P.D Rangers. At one point, Piggy, of all people, wins the lottery and uses the money to open up a small restaurant for the morally questionable individuals of the city to eat. And man, does he hate when the Rangers show up. So why the heck is he not lower? Well, because he opens the Rangers' eyes about the bias and perceptions about how they view the term monster. Not only that, but he does also redeem himself at the end of the show by disguising himself as a Crybot and freeing the Rangers, allowing them to turn the tide of the final battle. Because of this, Piggy deserves the bronze medal of bad characters.
Name's Boom.
The next character I'm bringing up is Boom. Boom is the lovable goof of the show. He makes mistakes and does some honestly stupid stuff, but it's always with the best of intentions. And while he does have some Power Ranger envy, he's never ashamed of his post as Cat's assistant. In the episode aptly titled Boom, he gets a message from his parents saying that they're coming for a visit, causing Boom to freak out because he told his parents that he was a Power Ranger. Wanting to help their friend, Sid, Bridge, and Z do all they can to help Boom with his deception to a point, while keeping Kruger in the dark. They only stop going along with it when Boom tries to join a fight and costs them a chance to rescue Jack and Sky.
Whoever could that be?
S.P.D. Emergency!
Look, the production team hated Omega Ranger, and it shows. To be clear, I'm only ranking Sam as his aged-up Ranger version, not the child version. And honestly, it hurts his ranking quite a bit as a result. Omega has no real character and exactly zero development aside from learning the power of teamwork in his debut episode. Omega gets above the bottom three for his cool factor and the hero moments he gets in the show alone.
S.P.D. Emergency!
Now it's time to talk about Doggy Anubis Kruger. So by this point, I feel like I've covered his backstory a lot this month, but that's because he doesn't really have any other development. Aside from an episode called Badge, where he has to fight an ex-cadet turned criminal from Kruger's days at the Academy, the only note worth taking away is that Kruger promised to Icinia that he'd never strike in anger. Despite the lack of development, Kruger stands out as one of the biggest powerhouse characters in the show. One episode after his debut as Shadow Ranger, he spars against all 5 of the other Rangers and doesn't even break a sweat. Also, in the finale, when he encounters Mora, she's terrified of him, throwing monster after monster at him, and he just effortlessly cuts through them. Not even capturing them, just killing them with one blow each. It's the biggest Rockstar moment in the whole show, and I love it.
S.P.D. Emergency!
Just shy of the top 5 is Kat. Kat is the head of R&D, as mentioned before, but she's also kind of the mom of the group. Whenever there's tension between Kruger and the Rangers, she's always the one to de-escalate the situation and help it be resolved without ever taking the reins herself. It's also very clear that Kat is the closest friend that Kruger has, since she's the only one that can talk frankly with him when he does something wrong, and almost never gets any more than a growl in retort. Counting all of that, as well as the fact that she was a one-time Orange Ranger for the S.P.D. team in the episode Catastrophe, is why I can comfortably put her in this slot.
5!
Before I start number 5, I want to make clear that all these last entries are in near equal equality, and anyone else could order them differently and it'd make just as much sense. And on that note, number 5 is fittingly S.P.D. 5, Sid. Sid is ranked the lowest of the core 5 Rangers being talked about here purely because of how little she gets in terms of background. We know she is rich, and we know her family is quick to replace outdated anything. Sid has 2 episodes that help her character and personality stand out. In the episode Dogged, we see her work herself to the bone, just to prove that Rick was right about where a criminal had stashed something. She gets covered in mud, shoveling by herself in the pouring rain, nearly exhausts herself just to help a robot that would have otherwise been sent to the scrap heap. We can reasonably see most, if not any, of the other Rangers doing this, but at this point of the show, Sid is a very shallow and petty character. So seeing her do this is pretty momentous. Next is the episode Stakeout, where Jack pulls her into, well, a stakeout. Hoping to catch a criminal who may target an old partner of his, the only reason Sid has any objection about this is because it's her birthday that weekend and she had plans with her family. She makes quite a bit of noise over the subject for Jack, who, growing up without ever rightly knowing his birthday, can't see the big deal about celebrating a birthday for the life of him. However, Sid's vocal disapproval of this assignment does help Jack open his eyes when speaking with the woman they're on stakeout to protect, and he makes up for it by throwing a miniature surprise party for her after the mission is over. Having development is good, but being able to inspire development in others, that's just as good, if not a little better.
4!
At number 4 is Bridge, B-Squad's resident oddball. Bridge has a very open-ended sense of logic, allowing for questions, theories, what-ifs, etc. One of his more noteworthy traits is, whenever he gets stumped on something, he'll do a headstand with his eyes closed to help him focus. Combine this with his vague and general ability to read auras, he's a reliable ally for tracking, lie detection, and interrogation, apparently.
What does he know? He's a lizard.
But then again, why should you help us? Prison is safe, secure, but is anything ever really truly secure? Security can only come from one place.
Get to the point,
Yourself.
will you?
It's just a false sense of security. And what does security really give us?
Stop! I can't take it anymore! I'll talk! It was Mysticon, helped by some dame named Morgana.
He's good.
His outstanding moment in the show is in the episode Abridged, where the Rangers are trying to ID a bank robber that can cut through anything. When an alien at the scene of one of the robberies has big, powerful blades, the Rangers make the obvious assumption. Except for Bridge. Bridge notes how the alien tried attacking a very specific person. He also noticed there was water at every crime scene. Running a series of experiments and testing, he was able to discover the real culprit, who would have easily gotten away if Bridge had simply accepted the easy answer like the others. So while he's not always easy to understand, Bridge is a high-quality policeman and Power Ranger.
3!
Coming in at number 3 is Z, the Yellow Ranger. Z is this high on the list because of her role in the Sam two-parter. The moment she sees Sam has powers like theirs, she immediately wants to find him and help him the way she wished someone had helped her when she was his age. And even when Sam pushes her away and makes more of an enemy of himself, she's not deterred. And eventually, she manages to get through to him. What puts her in the top 3 isn't just that she saved Sam from making a terrible decision, but that she did it as a person who gets what he's going through, and not as a Power Ranger. It's easy to be a hero when you have the suit, the weapons, and Zords. But being a hero for someone when you're just a person, that is what it means to truly be impactful. Number 1 is number 2 today with Jack. Jack is about as much of a Robin Hood character that I've ever seen from this franchise, even literally when we first see him in the show. He's stealing from clothing stores in order to give them out for free to the people who need it most. Crime aside, his heart was genuinely in the right place, and even though he was reluctant to be the Red Ranger, he stepped up because he recognized the kind of danger the Trubians represent and wanted to do what he can. And, after stumbling over his pride in the 3rd episode, his actions as Red Ranger and leader of his team is flawless. He's strategic, he follows orders, he gets the job done right. And he's not afraid to do what needs to be done for the sake of the mission. But the most impressive thing he does is choose to step down as a Ranger. Any fan of superhero comics has some understanding of how hard it is to get out of the hero life. Not just because of the job's significance, but just from being used to being the guy that saves the day. It creates a type of addiction. And yet, Jack turns in his morpher and joins a company that lets him do what he was doing at the start, but legal now. It's one thing to be a great Ranger. It's another thing entirely to be a great person. And finally, at number 1 is the person who is obviously the main character of the show, Skye Tate. Skye is the Blue Ranger for the series, but has Red Ranger envy for the whole of the run. But he does temper it over time. His father isn't Wes, but rather someone who eventually replaced him as the Time Force Red Ranger that had joined S.P.D. So naturally, he wants to fill his father's shoes, so to speak. Now you'll notice I said was and not is. Well, that's because his father was considered KIA back when Skye was just a child. The only thing left of his father is a scorched Ranger helmet. Skye starts the show arrogant, elitistic, hostile, and insanely rude and prejudiced. In the episode Walls, Skye refuses to cooperate with Jack's leadership and orders. After stopping an attempted robbery of several precious diamonds, Jack orders Skye to hang back while the other Rangers deal with the giant robot, saying that something seemed off and he wanted Skye covering the diamonds in case the robot was a diversion. Unfortunately, Jack was right and Skye disobeyed orders and joined the robot fight, allowing the Trubians to steal the diamonds. In the Sam 2-parter, I promise, this is the last time I reference this episode in the video, Skye is quick to dismiss the coincidence of all of them having powers as calling the whole group freaks. True, this does imply himself as well, but he's clearly saying the line directly at Z. Rewinding back to the first episode, because I can't paste this stuff correctly, Kruger asks him if he'd follow Sid into battle if he appointed her Red Ranger. Skye responds with, "Sir, she's a girl. Please remember, this is targeted towards young boys in 2005. Skye is pacing around as he, Sid, and Bridge await orders. When Sid asks him to stop pacing, he responds with this.
If you have a problem with it, Sydney, make me stop.
In the episode Wired, Skye points out to a character named Sophie that the only good cyborg is a dead cyborg. Now, the cast doesn't know that Sophie is actually a cyborg yet, but the show portrays it to the audience in a way that they can connect the dots pretty quickly. It's not until Piggy explains to the Rangers why their traditional idea of monsters is wrong that Skye finally starts turning around and becoming a good guy.
Why are they afraid of us? They're the monsters.
Humans! You're so ethnocentric. Don't you realize that to them, you're the monsters? Take her, for instance. She looks human, yet you referred to her as a cyborg. Is she nothing more to you than circuits and wires?
She's a lot more than that. And that's why we have to find her. Can you help us or not?
I haven't seen her.
Sky gets an opportunity late into the show to bring in the criminal that allegedly took out his father, and Jack lets Sky use his Red Ranger morpher so he can use the Battleizer, and it's fun to see a Ranger use a different suit, simply because it's different, you know? But it also has tons of emotional significance to Sky, as this is his first real taste of what he's wanted all this time. And then, after the end of Grum and Omni, when Jack resigns from S.P.D., their squad needs a new Red Ranger. Kruger asks Sky again if he'd follow Sid into battle if she was elected Red Ranger, and as a show of his development, he immediately says that he'd gladly follow any of his allies into battle. This growth of him as a person proves that he's finally worthy of being the Red Ranger, and it's a very triumphant feeling to see him achieve his dream. Notice Grum wasn't on the list? Wanna know why? Gonna have to stay tuned to my future videos to find out!
Justice is served!
And that's it for my countdown. What did you think? Any disagreements with placement? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear where you'd place these characters. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making improvements to my quality. Also, huge shout out to Tyler Crooks, who helped edit and make this video and the previous two as well. Go check out his channel. He does a bunch of fun stuff. I personally want to recommend his Let's Go Pikachu Let's Play. He has fun with that one. Catch you later, nerds, and may the power protect you.